Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Bridget. On this channel I teach sounds, grammar, compositions and other problematic topics in English language. Today I will teach you two-in-one topic. That is stage 2 sounds and transcriptions. Are you ready? Welcome back. Now let's look at them one after the other. We have the letters, that is the spelling aspects, and then we have the phonetic symbols and sounds, and then we have the words, and we're going to transcribe. Are you ready? Now let's move on. Now we have the letters CK sounding as K. Look at it, sounding as K. And then we have it in the word cake. Cake. Now let's transcribe it. Open your transcription slash. We have the K sounding as what? K. A. And then we have CK sounding as what? K. Now we're not writing KK, we're writing just K. As in K. So we have A, cake. Cake. Now let's move on to the next one. We have letter K sounding as K. Letter K sounding as K. Now we have it in the word tank. Tank. Now let's look at it. Tank. Open your transcription slash. Here we have It's a vowel sound. It's a vowel nasal sound. It is written like this. And then we have K. Now close your slash. We move on to C, letter C sounding as K. Remember in some environment we have C sounding as S, but here it's sounding as K. So we have K written like this, and then we have it in the word cat. Cat. Now let's transcribe it. Cat. Open your transcription slash. K. Now we have K. A. T. Now we move on to E. Remember I said E can be represented as this symbol in some transcriptions, okay? So now I'm going to use this for this lesson. Now let's look at this. It is found here. We can as well find it at the initials. For instance, we have the word egg, okay? Now let's move on. We have step. Open your transcription slash. S. Step. The letter H is sounding as H, and so we have it in the word his. A. And then this S is sounding as just S. So you're going to use S. So now let's move. We're going to write S, just one S. And then close this transcription slash. Now let's move on to this letter. The letter is sounding as R. Now we have it as in R. It's written like this. So now let's look at it. We have it here. R. Now we have R. Now let's transcribe it. We have R. E. And rent. 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 Did you get that? Now let's move on to This is a nasal sound. You use your upper and lower lips to articulate this sound. So can I hear you say Good. Now we have is represented like this. And we find it in the word man. Man. So now let's transcribe it. We have open your transcription slash. Remember you write it like this. And then we have close your slash. Now let's move on to this. We have D. Okay, it is represented like this. We have it in the word desk. 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 Now let's transcribe it. Open your transcription slash D. A. S. And K. I want to point your attention to something. You have to know that there are some consonant sounds in English language that are just represented as the phonetic symbols. The only difference between the letters and the phonetic symbols are the slash. That is the phonetic symbol slash. That is the phonetic symbol slash. And so, for instance, now let's look at this letter K. It's sounding as K. It is represented like this. And then we have the letter, the H, sounding as, is represented the same way. And then we have letter R, sounding as represented the same way. And then we have represented as what? Represented as letter M, like this, is just the same. And then we have letter D, sounding as D. Now, the only difference is that some of these words have different phonetic representation. However, we have some of these English sounds, consonant sounds, that are just represented in the same form. So now I'm going to point your attention to some challenges we also have as Africans when we pronounce most of these English words. Now, the first one is CK, sounding as K. We have it here as in CK. Now let's blend them together. We have K, A, K, as in cake. However, some Africans have challenges with this A sound. It's pronounced as letter E, as in E, like this. Just like this. But the standard form is A, cake. Now let's move on to this. We have the next one as a represented as K, and then we have it in the word tank. Now let's look at this. This letter M is different from what I've represented here. And so this is a vowel sound. And so it is one of the major problems that most Africans have. So you simply pronounce it as That is what they pronounce it as. For instance, they just write this as A, not A, as we pronounce it as a standard form. So it is written as like this. A. This is what they produce as an average African. The letter C is sounding as, in some environments, they sound as S. Now we have it here represented as K, and then we have it here sounding as a cat. Remember I said we have issues, most Africans have issues with the pronunciation of A sound, okay? They simply call it A or A, so you should get used to that. Now let's look at this. We have letter E sounding as A sound. It is represented like this in other dictionaries. So when you find something like this, it as well sounds as A sound. And then we have it as in step. I think this is the pronunciation that most Africans could actually pronounce, because the A sound is we find the A sound in most of our languages. So now let's move on to, now the letter H is sounding here as his. Now it is transcribed as. Now let's blend it together. We have his. Now let's move on to the next sound as in what? Now this sound, this letter R, sometimes could be overpronounced by most Africans. For example, some of them pronounce it as arrow. That is incorrect, okay? So we pronounce it as R, letter R, and not arrow. No, you simply say R, and then it is sounding as and so we have it in the word rent. 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 Now we have it as in rent. Now let's move on to letter M, sounding as Similarly, the letter M could actually be overpronounced as well, as in M. No, it is not M, it is what? M, letter M. And so we have it sounding as And then we have it in the word man. Remember I said we have issues, most Africans have issues with the pronunciation of the A sound. It is not A, but they simply say A. For instance, they write it like this. Man. Can you see the difference? Just like that. The letter D sounds as D. And then we have it in the word desk. Notes. Some Africans usually have issues with the pronunciation of consonant clusters. For instance, some of them may pronounce it as dicks. That is, they will pronounce the k before the s to make it simpler for them or easier for them to pronounce. While some of them will actually omit the k and just say disc, disc. Do you understand? But it is pronounced as disc, disc, disc. Now let's move on to the realm of sentential illustrations with most of these words. Number one, I will rent a desk. Do not step on the carts. Do not step on the carts. Do not hiss at me. Do not hiss at me. The tank is big. The tank is big. The tank is big. Number five, kick the ball. Kick the ball. Okay. We've come to the end of today's lesson. In your various dialects or countries, I want you to leave the problematic sounds that you often articulate in the comment section below. So far, we've actually looked at stage 2 sounds, and we looked at the sounds, we looked at the transcriptions, and then we looked at the blending of some of the sounds as well. So if you like my video, remember to like, subscribe, share, and leave your comments in the comment section below. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.